Hello, beautiful people of YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time, welcome to my channel. Whether you have been around for a little while or this is your first time visiting, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button. I try to put out videos every week, or I'm going to try to start putting out videos every week. Also, make sure to hit the bell notification so that you are notified when I update and post a video so you can see my beautiful face. In keeping up with Diabetes Awareness Month, which is all of November, I have decided today's video will be sharing my diabetes diagnosis story. A lot of you have probably read it if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, but this will be my first time actually saying it out loud. If you or anybody that you know is experiencing any of the symptoms that I explained in this video, please make sure you go to the doctor. It's always better to be safe than sorry. This disease can happen pretty rapidly when the symptoms start showing up, so always good idea to go get checked out. I went to the doctor in June of 2007 for a super random sore throat. I went to sleep just fine the night before, woke up the next morning thinking I had strep throat, thinking there was definitely something wrong because it was hurting so bad. I still lived with my parents at the time, so I walked downstairs and waited for one of them to wake up to let them know that I needed to go to the doctor. I was 20 years old. Yes, I do realize that is old to still be living with your parents, but you know what? Saved on some bills. So my dad went with me to the doctor, and that day at the doctor I weighed 141 pounds. This will come into play later. They did a swab, came back negative. They said everything looked fine. There was really nothing to be done, but they did give me some antibiotics and told me that if in 24 hours my throat didn't feel better, to start taking them, but just kind of wait it out and see what happened. I woke up the next morning feeling just fine, not having any idea that this was the start of what would have been some of the, what was some of the hardest months of my entire life. I started to notice that I was thirsty all the time, dry mouth so bad that I thought I was gonna die of thirst. People stopped letting me take sips of their drinks because they would hand me a full cup and then I would hand them back an empty one because I was that thirsty all the time. I couldn't stop myself once I started drinking. On a road trip with my then boyfriend, now husband, in early July, I remember him saying to me, when we stopped for the 75th time for me to get something to drink, that I really didn't know what thirsty was. There was no way that I could be that thirsty all the time. But if we weren't stopping to get something to drink, I was also stopping to go to the bathroom because I was doing that just about every 5 minutes. What he didn't realize was that I was that thirsty. I literally felt like my mouth was going to shrivel up if I didn't have something to drink. The problem also was I was drinking Sprite, orange juice, Dr. Pepper, Coke, water here and there, lemonade, and I was actually basing where we would go eat on the drinks that they provided there. I wanted Chili's for their strawberry lemonade. I wanted Quiznos at the time for their raspberry lemonade. You know, I wanted Sprite and Mountain Dew. I mean, just all the things that you drink when you're 20 and you like soda, not knowing that inevitably that soda probably could have killed me. Friends were also starting to notice that I was losing weight. I figured I'd lost a couple pounds here and there, like nothing crazy. But they were starting to notice that my clothes really were not fitting properly. I also told them that it was probably stress because at that time My relationship was a little bit rocky. We were fighting more. I could tell my hormones were changing, but didn't know why. Things were getting stressful. We'll just say that. As time went on, it started getting harder to wake me up. I was also falling asleep at super random times of the day, which is very, very unlike me. I was sleeping until about 2 p.m. every day. And then it was like I wasn't getting any sleep because, I don't know, I was just exhausted. Mid-July, we took a family vacation to Orlando, and it became a running joke that as soon as we got to the park, Hannah had to pee. As soon as we got off of a ride, Hannah had to pee and then needed something to drink. That was pretty much how the entire trip went. And we all thought it was hilarious at the time because they could pretty much guarantee that as soon as we pulled in, I had to go to the bathroom. They could just pretty much call it. That was also the trip that I started realizing just how tired I was. I would take a shower sitting down. I wasn't fixing my hair. I wasn't doing my makeup. I was just too tired. My body was exhausted. And again, we did not know why. Nick broke up with me on August 18th of 2007, and this is really what started my downfall. He told me I was acting crazy. I would go from being super hormonal and yelling at him all the time to trying to be like the sweet little angel, and he just couldn't deal with it anymore. And looking back at it now, I don't blame him. A day or so later, in an attempt to get out of my depression and change things up a little bit, I moved my bedroom from the upstairs bonus room to the basement, decided to paint it and start fresh and have this whole new life. And my dad would come in and laugh because I would paint for about 10 minutes and then lay on the floor for about 45. I was exhausted all the time. I think he made it a point to come by every so often just to see which one I was doing, if I was laying or if I was painting, and most of the time it was laying on the floor. About that time, I also started to notice this white, kind of green weirdness on my tongue. Everything tasted like hot sauce, even milk. Anything that wasn't supposed to be spicy or hot felt spicy or hot. One thing I don't recommend if you notice something like that, it is to try to brush it off with the toothbrush. That was not the correct way to go about that. The day that I noticed thrush is what I later found out it was. The day that I noticed that was when I finally walked into my dad's office and looked at him and said, "Hey, is this normal?" and stuck out my tongue. And very cool, calm, and collectively, he said, "I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it'll go away." And as I turned to walk out of his office, that was when he realized there was a problem. He told me to stop and turn back around. I was wearing a white tank top and actually his pajama pants, which were already relatively big, but the shirt, everything was just hanging off of me. I was bones at this point. And he asked me very seriously if I was bulimic. And I could see why he would think that. I had a, rash or whatever on my tongue, and my clothes were falling off of me, so I get why he thought that. And I laughingly said, "No, you know how much I like to eat and hate to vomit." So he said, "Okay, cool, just wanted to check." And I walked back into my room, but he immediately called my mom and said, "Something is wrong with our daughter. We need to take her to get looked at. Something is wrong." They got me an appointment for the next day, and at that point, we had absolutely no idea what the next day was gonna hold. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes on August 22nd of 2007, just 2 months shy of my 21st birthday. I weighed 114 pounds when I went to the doctor, and we realized I had lost 27 pounds in a little over 2 months. All I wanted after that appointment was a sweet tea. I wanted a Chick-fil-A sweet tea. I was so excited to have a Chick-fil-A sweet tea. Little did I know that that's not what was going to happen. The doctor came in, looked at me, decided they needed to draw some labs. So the nurse came in. It took a little while for them to get blood out of me because I was so dehydrated. When the nurse left and the doctor came back in and sat down and looked at us and said, "Yep, you have type 1 diabetes." I had absolutely no idea what that meant. I dated a guy in high school whose dad had type 1 diabetes, and all I knew was that he had to give himself shots, but I didn't know how often. I didn't realize that it was a all the time, every day, forever kind of thing. My lowest point came about 6 months later when it hit me. I guess I came out of denial that this was a lifelong disease. This was not going to just go away one day. I had been living, I guess, with the thought that one day I was just going to wake up and it was going to be gone. And when it hit me that it wasn't, that started a very low time for me. But just like the depression hit months later, same thought, this is not going to go away. So what are we going to do about it? Instead of laying around and being depressed all the time and moping about this disease that's not going to go away, I decided to pick myself up, figure out what I needed to do, and make it work. Diabetes is hard. It's a constant struggle. It's something that I will forever worry about, but it's not something that's going to hold me back or keep me from doing the things that I want to do. If anything, diabetes is the reason that I am where I am today. I don't claim to be an expert, and I'm not living the way that I should be all the time, but I am trying. Big reason I started this channel was to talk about it, to show diabetes, to show real life, to show that just because you have something doesn't mean you can't do the things that you want to do. Do you want to hide your diabetes from people? Maybe, and that's fine. You don't have to be as open about it as some other people are. I wasn't at the beginning. I had no idea what I was doing and didn't really feel like everybody needed to know about it. But now, 12 years later, I want to get out there and talk about it and let people know that it's okay and you're not alone and other people are out there supporting you. Like I said, I will leave the symptoms, the common symptoms, in the description box below so that you guys can look at it. If you have any questions about my story, if you want to hear more about certain parts, or if you want me to go super in depth, that was the short and simple version of it. Let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to come back and talk more about it, or if you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer anything that I can. Until then, thanks for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell notification. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, and I will see you guys next week.